Hello, welcome to Do It Yourself with Wayne. Our channel is all about teaching you how to do things yourself to save money. So if you're interested in saving money, subscribe to our channel. We'll help you with that. Now, most of our videos are about repairing things around the house or tool reviews. Today's going to be a little bit different, but it's still about helping you save money by learning how to do things better. We have numerous family members that have the little Cricut vinyl cutters, and they're really cool little devices. But I've watched numerous videos online about how you install the vinyl, what tools you use, things of this nature. And I have a small print shop. I have a small sign shop as part of that. And I'm not a full-time sign maker, but I've made a lot of signs over the last decade or so. I've done small things. I've done the side of a box truck before. So I've done a lot of signs. And some of what I've seen in the videos, it's not wrong, but personally, I feel like there's better ways to doing some of these things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the tools that I use and why. We're going to talk about weeding and taping. We're going to talk about supplies and do you want to buy in bulk or not. And also we have another video coming up where we'll talk about how you apply the vinyl, and how I do it differently from a lot of videos that I've seen. How to get something that is irregular installed straight on an item. That'll be another big part of that video. So stay tuned for those a little later. They'll be coming up. So let's jump into today. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Squeegee. Now, Cricut has a different name for this, and it escapes me right at the moment. I apologize for that. But most people call these Squeegees. Most of them are plastic like this. The plastic ones work just fine. But if you do much stuff and you're going to buy a Squeegee, and don't buy one unless you feel like you need to, but the really good ones like this are made out of Teflon. Yeah, and you heard that right, the same stuff you have in your frying pan. But they'll slide smoother on your material. When you're squeegeeing something, they'll slide smoother. They're also less likely to scratch what you're working on. And like I said, the plastic ones work just fine, but the Teflon ones are better. The next thing I want to talk about is what I weed with. I weed with an Exacto knife. I've used these things all my life for craft projects, and I almost feel like I grew up with one of these things in my hand, but that's what I weed with. It's the only thing I weed with. Now, years ago, I bought one of the kits with the little picks and different things for weeding. I've tried it numerous times over the years, and I always come back to my Exacto knife. That's what works best for me, and I'll be showing you some weeding here in a little bit. The next thing is the cutters. A lot of people have like a box blade or something for cutting. A lot of people have the rotary cutters. I personally like the rotary cutters a lot better. This is one of the less expensive ones that has the shield or the safety guard that you take your thumb and you pull it down when you're going to cut. When you're finished, you push it back up. I would really warn you, if you have one like this, make sure you always put that safety guard back up when you're finished. You don't want to lay it down with that safety guard pulled back where somebody can get cut on it, because it'll happen sooner or later. The style that I use is like this one. It has the handle, and when you pick it up, you pull the handle. That exposes the blade. When you lay it down, the safety shield comes right back up. I much prefer this, and if you use them much, you might want to invest in one like this, but they are a little more expensive. The next thing is rulers. I use a lot of rulers. I typically have at least 3 or 4, maybe more, laying around my table where I'm working on signs. I never seem to have too many rulers. So let's move into app tape. We did a little research this morning, and we found that a roll of the Cricut brand app tape that's 12 inches wide and 10 feet long was like $15. It was $14.95 or something like that, but $15. This is a roll I bought from my sign supply company. It's 12 inches wide, but it's 300 feet long, and it cost me $35. So for twice the price of 10 feet, I get 300 feet. So, if you do a lot of projects, think about buying things like your app tape in larger quantities online. There's a lot of online companies that sell sign supplies. If you don't do a lot, stick with the Cricut brand of stuff, get the smaller quantities of stuff, because if you're not going to use it, it's not a good deal. But if you do a lot of stuff, look at buying stuff in bulk. All right, now we're going to reposition our camera, and we're going to show you how I do my weeding and taping. Okay, first off, I cut my design on my vinyl, and I don't have a Cricut cutter. I have a higher end, more commercial kind of cutter. So I'm not going to go into how I did that, but the vinyl is cut. It's ready to be weeded, and it says baby's name, and I did 2 of them on here. If you're ever going to do more than one of something, do them together if you can. If it will fit on your Cricut cutter, do as many as you're going to do at one time and have them all on one sheet. It makes it easier to tape them up when you're through. So anyway, I use my Exacto knife, and I just used a point and I pull those pieces out. And just like that, pull those pieces out. And I find that to work a lot easier than a pick. I just take the point of my Exacto knife, stick it right in the corner. And a lot of times when I go in, I'll go just in the vinyl a little ways and push up. Now the reason I'm pushing up, if you can see the blade, the back side is not sharp, but the front side is. The point obviously is real sharp. So when I push it in, I push up on the dull part of the blade. I'm not trying to cut it, I'm just trying to remove it. So I push in and up just a little bit, and that'll pop those pieces out pretty easily. Sometimes you just go up, sometimes you just go up a little bit toward, where you're pushing against the dull part of the blade. I'm just going to go ahead and pick some of these pieces out. In fact, I think I'll just do this one side over here. Just cut that a little bit. Do that just to break up the parts. You don't want to try and do a whole bunch at one time. If you try to weed a lot of stuff at one time, you're going to end up having problems. Cut that quite deep enough. All right. Now when you weed, just make sure your parts stay there. Use the point of your Exacto knife. Now like right here, coming back into this A, it's not going to want to pull. So you can take your Exacto knife and pull that up, and it'll come right out of there. Just make it that easy to weed that. Same thing down here. See the E, I went right into the E, that was easy, but when you're backing up, like backing up into this A, just take your Exacto knife and lift it up, it'll come right out of there. So that gets that parts done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do this other part off camera, and then we'll show you how we tape this up. Okay, now in my shop, I got a nice mount here for all my app tapes. I've got tapes that's a lot of different widths up to 24 inches wide. But the way I would do this, I would take my app tape, pull it off the roll, and I pull it out further than what my design is. Then I take my design, I slide it underneath, slide it up here to the end, and then I squeegee it down. When you're squeegeeing something, when you start, always work center out like this. Don't do that. It may work fine, but if you work center out like that, okay, going at an angle this way, something like that, you'll get more consistent, good results. Now, I know everybody doesn't have a rack like I've got for holding your vinyl, so we're going to take this back off. We're going to tape another piece of vinyl without doing that. Now, one thing I forgot was how we cut it. Use my rotary cutter. Just cut that way, that way, and this way. Now, one thing that's different about what I do and what a lot of the videos I've seen online will tell you, I do this, and this app tape just gets thrown away. Okay? When I'm finished, the app tape goes exactly to the edge. Everything was cut even. And I'll show you why I do that in my next video where we're talking about installation. But that is how I tape something up. Now I'm going to proceed to show you how I would tape it if I didn't have this rack for holding my rolls of app tape. Now I'm going to show you how I would tape up something if I didn't have the rack to hold my rolls of tape. This is my roll. It's just rolling around here. I'm going to pull some of it off. And like I was saying earlier with buying stuff in bulk, if you buy in bulk, you don't have to worry about trying to reuse your app tape. You know, it should be used one time and thrown away. So stick it to your mat or whatever your work surface is real good. You need something, and I'm using this old Squeegee, and I'm not using it or anything else, to scotch the roll so it doesn't roll back this way. Then I'm going to take my piece of vinyl that I want to tape up. I'll put it under here, and I'm going to slide it toward this end as far as I can, because that does help save some of my vinyl. And I'm going to take my Squeegee. This is my Teflon one that I talked about earlier. And you work center out. See how I'm going at an angle, but yes, working center out. That's the best way to do this to keep from having bubbles and wrinkles. There's a lot of ways you can do this, but that's the best way. Start about in the middle and go at an angle out. Going toward the roll, center out, like that. That's the best way to do it, to not get wrinkles in your app tape. And then to trim it, I just take my rotary cutter, cut here, cut here, cut along the bottom, a little close there, but just for demonstration. And then left-handed, I'm coming down this side. Then you can take your tape up, what's left. You got your piece here. I didn't cut that quite good enough. But there's your piece, ready to be installed. And like I said, in the next video, we'll be talking about how we install this. It's a little different from what a lot of the videos will show you. I guess I should hold that way. I mean, it's not a lot of detail, but it is a little house, and we'll be showing you how to install this and get it straight. All right, now I'm finishing this up. I want to show you the stuff that we tape. Now, we used this app tape that looks like masking tape, but as you can see, you can still see your vinyl work through that tape. So you don't have to have the clear app tape, okay? This kind of stuff works just fine. You can still see the work that you're working on. And that's what we use here in the sign shop all the time, is this kind of masking tape, app tape. So don't worry about the fact that you don't think you can see through this, because you can. So anyway, that finishes this up. We've showed you what tools we use and why. We've talked about how we weed and how we tape stuff up. And we've also talked about the supplies and buying in bulk, a little bit about maybe whether you want to or not. But don't forget, there will be another video. We'll put a link to it in the bottom. We'll also put one up here in the corner. I know on some devices you can't access the one up in the corner, but we will put a link in the bottom. And if you subscribe to our channel, it also make it easier to find. But we will be doing a video as well about applying the vinyl and things that we do that hopefully will make it easier for you, which in turn saves you time, saves you money, might save you some mistakes, which saves you money. And that's what this channel is all about, is saving you money. But anyway, that's our tutorial for cutting and weeding and taping vinyl. And we'd just like to say thank you for visiting Do It Yourself with Wayne, and we hope you have a great day.